Good afternoon, everybody. You ready? You ready, Millie? Call this meeting of the New Shoreham Town Council to order. Today's Monday, September 9th. It is 3:03 p.m. Apologize for the delay. If you see me on camera, I was not attacked except by a tree in my yard. So, nothing criminal occurred. We start today with Amy Land, who's going to walk us through an interim transition plan.
So I won't take too much time, but for the benefit of the public, I did want to expand a bit on the interim transition plan that Keith described last week. In conversations with the council, I had put together a framework for what an interim phase could look like. It rests on a strong senior leadership team to share the workload as everyone transitions into their new roles. The emphasis is on sorry. I think everybody. Oh, the emphasis is on strong management support for town staff and for town services in supporting deputies as they step into leadership roles, and a focus on operations so that the council, both the seated council and the next council, can focus on policy and strategic planning. One of the other things we talked about, and this is in the middle of the page, is timeline. Because the interim phase is set forth in the charter, just wanted to refresh everyone's memory that Marianne is with us until September 30th. We have elections, as we all know. You'll have a new council seated in December. And by charter, the interim phase is limited to 6 months with the possibility of a 3-month extension after that. So 6 months would be April 1st. That means that January, which is halfway through an interim period, is the right time for us to reconvene, I would suggest, and see how that's going and talk about the council's next steps. So that's sort of a proposed timeline. And then one of my biggest concerns in thinking about the interim position is in ensuring that we have enough staff to meet the town's needs. And to that end, I was proposing an interim structure that includes, hold on. This is very tall. That includes Mona Helterline stepping from the deputy finance director position into an interim finance director position, and Millie McGinnis into a transitional temporary position of town clerk and interim director of administration. That new position, which is temporary, we wouldn't expect it to live forever within the town, but through this transition period, meets two needs. First, it provides additional senior leadership and makes sure that no one is spread too thin through the transition. Since we are only staffing from internal staff at the moment, that means there are fewer bodies doing the same work and hopefully doing it well. So that's one of the key goals of this plan. And then second is that it supports the town clerk's office as the deputies in that office start to operate more independently and prepare for a life after Millie moves into her next steps, whatever those may be. So just very briefly wanted to talk about that framework in a little bit more detail than Keith had provided. And if the council votes in the affirmative today, then we would look forward to making those appointments of Millie and Mona as town clerk and interim director of administration and interim finance director on October 1st. Anything I missed that we talked about, but it's important to get out there?
I did have a couple questions, but you answered them in that. So one being, just for the public's sake, one of the questions I had was about the position that Millie would be doing that that's not a permanent position, that's a temporary position.
Yes. Yes.
so-
And so the town council will see and vote on a job description for that town clerk and interim director of administration position. And again, it's interim and temporary. So that is not a permanent position in the town. Just to help us ease through the workload over the next few months.
And I think it's important that the incoming council will have a review in January. Because
Absolutely.
there's a couple of big things that you're taking on that there should be some consensus on by that point in time, right?
Exactly. I think, transitioning town managers at the time that you're also transitioning councils can be a tricky step for the
Mhm.
public, for the councils, and for potential candidates that you're bringing in. So keeping stability during that interim period, letting a new council get organized and figure out their priorities and direction, and then deciding on what your next steps are relative to town manager, I think is a very steady approach.
I have a couple of questions, and these aren't for Amy. I may have missed it. I think I've been here at meetings, so. Mary Ann submitted a resignation, which I've never seen. And did the council ever vote to accept her resignation, which is a formality, but I think it's an important one in housekeeping. And is there any kind of termination agreement and are we going to see that? When? I hope it's before we are appointing a new interim town manager. Okay.
We're working with Tim's boss on how because it involves personnel, we're working on how approaches to releasing. That's the best answer I can give.
Okay, I'm only asking these questions. These have never been, there's never been any discussion among the council in a closed session on this. And I felt that I wanted to be sure I wasn't the only one unaware of what was going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, discussing it. Yes, Bill.
Is there, and I'm sure the answer, is there a job description that's going to present it for the new position?
Yes, yes, Amy is going to present that. We still have to, go through the contracting and all that kind of stuff, but thought that this was the right first step to then move to whatever money we're going to spend on that. Item 2, discuss an act to appoint Amy Land interim town manager for a 6-month period beginning October 1st, 2024. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Discussion? Thank you for all the work you did here.
Just from a protocol standpoint, I think this is, I really love it.
Yep.
So there's nothing that, is this a?
Could you just use the microphone so everybody can hear you?
Thank you.
Is there a resignation? And is there a
Yes.
chance that we might have?
No. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it.
Voting in favor of this only because I think it's a strong team. I think it's a strong program. It has been presented very well. by Amy Land. And I think having experienced people who have or have their feet on the ground before we start is really important. I do, as indicated previously, think that the process has been somewhat faulty. I have a text that said the interim town manager was going to be discussed on July 7th. From someone who's curiously not even here today.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Tom, we did our best.
Is that right?